Hello and welcome to another episode of Life.EV, the podcast that delves deep into the essence of values in the dynamic realm of entrepreneurship. Well, we are a nation that's on to become a 5 trillion economy club, and it's expected to happen by 27-28. That opens a lot of gateway for unparalleled opportunities, particularly for entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Ajit Panicker, and in my dual capacity as the head of Nova, an air conditioning enterprise, and Pureblu, a tech startup in the same industry, I've navigated through the ups and downs of business expansion. Join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Life.EV, where we engage in enlightening discussions centered on a critical question. Is it possible to grow your business while also enriching our lives through value creation? Our goal is to ignite a transformative conversation in our society, creating an environment where we can all unearth our true calling. Embark on this journey with us as Life.EV goes beyond the mechanics of business growth, focusing instead on the underlying ethos that propels it. So, welcome to Life.EV, Life Exploring Values. And as usual, my guest is Vivek Asrani. Hi, Vivek.
Hi Ajit, how are you doing?
Absolutely good. So, to our viewers, Vivek Asrani is the head of Camo Fastener Company, a pioneering entity in the industrial fasteners industry. Vivek stands out for his profound commitment to the exploration of values. For nearly 4 years, he has been consistently sharing his reflections on the subject, offering a wealth of insight. His thought provoking writings are regularly updated and can be found on his personal website, vivekasrani.com. Moreover, Vivek is the author of One Day at a Time Reflections from Times of Silence, a book that encapsulates a book that captures his journey and profound insights. This compelling publication, available for purchase on Amazon or on his website, invites readers to immerse themselves in his deep understanding of values and their significant impact in both personal and professional spheres. So tune in and stay with us to dive into these enriching conversations with Vivek Asrani on Life.EV. So in today's episode of Live EV, we are delving into a topic which is leading with love. Now, this is something which most entrepreneurs keep debating about. And Vivek, I want you to share your experiences and your thoughts around this.
So Ajit, today you've actually chosen my favorite subject because I've always said that if there is no love in life, there is no point of life. And love is, to my mind, the most powerful force in the world. It has a certain propelling force and a propelling property, I would say, that just moves us in not only a direction but also in a manner which very often surprises us. Machines can be managed, processes can be managed, but people need to be led. And there are different kinds of leadership paradigms. You could lead with fear, you can lead with control, and we can lead with love. We don't use the word love very often in the workplace. It's construed to be a very soft word, a very feel good word, which really doesn't have its place in this very hard world of cutthroat competition and business. But nothing, Ajit, nothing can be further away from the truth than the fact that leading with love can be one of the most impactful, successful, and powerful ways of managing ourselves individually and also the businesses. Because not only is it uh, a feeling of abundance, so it allows you to think big. We talk about vision, but it also is very expansive in its feeling. So it also allows you to collaborate, break boundaries, be creative, innovative, imaginative, and do things which have never been done before. So I'm a big proponent, and to whatever extent I can be a practitioner of leading with love.
It's amazing, Vivek. But I'll tell you something. I was in a discussion with one of my learning groups, and they're all entrepreneurs and business owners in their own capacity. And we came up with this discussion, right? And there was a huge debate, on what leadership style should be. And here's some of the discussion. Pick up Steve Jobs, Apple, pick up Elon Musk. Very aggressive people, right? Very aggressive people. And if you hear their stories, they've had unexpected, the goals which they have set with their team. And if you see some of their team members have always shared that, that listen, it's so toxic to work with him. But here's the thing: they are exceptional companies. They have had exceptional results. So, and exceptional to an extent which is like way above the average. So here's the big question. I mean, when you run a business, don't you want results? That's what you're focused on, and you want to create something big. So if it's toxicity, why not? If that's what makes companies like Apple and the Teslas of the world or the SpaceX, is that truly a leadership love? Where does this whole question of leading with love comes in?
I think that's a great question. And listen, you've given two such big examples, right? That it makes a compelling argument, right? See, every individual has to be true to his or her nature, right? You cannot expect everyone to follow a particular personality type or a personality way of doing something. We have to be true to who we are in that sense. So, what works for an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs may be different than what probably worked for a JRD Tata. Right? I'm not going to get into the comparisons or the what worked or didn't work or what was different, but I'm just saying this very broadly in a very responsible manner. I think it's important to understand a few things. One is that when we talk about success, are we anchoring ourselves to the outcome, or are we also anchoring ourselves to the process as to how we reach there? If the only thing that matters is the outcome, then what you're saying, Ajit, is right. Then there is no place for anything but do whatever it takes to get the results. Then, if it breeds a certain level of toxicity, whether it breeds fear, control, people are getting burnt out, it doesn't matter because what we are chasing is the end goal, and that's the only thing that matters. So, if that's the stated goal, then you're absolutely right. However, if how we reach there is equally important, and as businesses and individuals, we recognize that the people we carry with us are equally important, and their well being and journey is as important as the end result, then we take a step back and say that can we do things a little differently as well. It doesn't mean that we compromise on the results, it just means that we are extremely mindful as to how we get there. Now, love is not the absence of accountability, and I think this is something which a lot of people don't uh, think too much about. They just feel that, okay, leading with love means you're all good, and if people make mistakes, it doesn't matter. No, of course it matters. So love is not the absence of accountability, but it's just the way you hold people accountable, and the investment you make in your organizations with your children sometimes to bring out the best in them, because not only are you mindful of the end result that you want, but you also love your team as much. In fact, just as a quick aside, Sam Manekshaw used to say that love your people as much as their mother does, but know them better than their mother.
Amazing.
Now, this was a man who led India, right, the armed forces, and highly respected. And on a quick aside, if you haven't seen Sam Bahadur, please go see it. It's one of my favorite movies now. So, love is not the absence of accountability. Second is love empowers. Now, all of us running organizations are cribbing about one major thing that, listen, if I am there, things happen. If I am not there, sometimes things don't happen. And whose fault is that? If you ask me, it starts top down. Have we empowered our people enough? Have we trusted our people enough? Do we love our people enough to give them that empowerment, that growth? Now, from an external personality standpoint, one may do it in a manner which comes across as a lot of fear and control, and it might well be also from within. I don't know, because only the person who's running the organization knows that. But my experience has been that when we craft a deep sense of love in everything we do, love for the customer, love for the product, love for the people we work with, and love for society, then we start behaving in a very responsible, creative, innovative, and therefore a successful manner. So my argument has always been that love can, it might be a slightly longer path sometimes, but it builds sustainable growth and impact in businesses and for us as individuals.
Very interesting. Yeah. I must share an experience that I had. Um, we were building we had a sales team and we needed to just, you know, add and increase it. So we had a new person who joined. He was come from an experienced background. He knew the product. He came from competition. And he comes into the team and everybody knows that, okay, now this guy is going to turn it around, right? That expectation was there. And he was also excited that he's joining us and everything. And here's what happened. The first month, he failed to deliver. The second month, he fails to deliver again. And even his manager is now on his case saying that this is not happening. You were supposed to where we got supposed to deliver the results. You are the best guy on our team. That's why we got you on board. And even I'm thinking as to what's going wrong. And the pressure is increasing on the third month. Also, it's like, this is nothing happening. And I said, okay. And typically in such cases, what happens is you said, listen, a wrong hire. Let's move on. So I said, okay, before we do that, at least let's learn from this mistake if it's a wrong hire. So I go out with him and I said, hey, listen, do one thing. Over the next 1 month, wherever you go, I'm going to spend time with you. As often as I can, whenever you go out on the calls, meet customers, I'll come with you and I'll meet up with you and I'll do it. And we did this for almost a month, right? And then eventually from the next month onwards, the guy started performing, right? And he started delivering results and fantastic things started happening. So here's a reflection that I thought, what is it that I did that turned it around? And the truth was I did nothing. When I look back and I say that I added zero value in what he was doing. But actually, what happened? It is just that I gave him that space to just saying that, okay, I am not being pushed. What had happened was he had set very huge expectations for himself and he had come into an environment where his expectations were itself were very high. So every time he went out, he was like, I got to do it or I'm out. I got to do it or I'm out. And that's how the whole environment had become. And eventually, with me just hanging around with him, he got this feeling, okay, it's okay. They trust me here. They believe that I'm a good guy. They still believe that I can do it. And he just needed that space and that reassurance, which he had to give only to himself, not even get it from anyone else. And he knew everything that had to be done. And that kind of get me a feeling, that listen, this is all about how an organization culture can be developed. How can we actually set this as an example and make it for everybody else? Even for our managers to see, that it just cannot be only the outcome. If it was only outcome, probably you would have lost that good talent who eventually stuck with us for a good 15 years to take on a leadership position within the organization. So to an extent, I want you to tell me that, when it comes to leadership, when you talk about outcome, how you get there and the culture, what are your thoughts around these?
So, you use the word space. And Ajit, that is such a critical word, especially from a business standpoint, because think about it. People who work with us, they are with us from 9:30 in the morning till 6:37 in the evening. And they are with us when from the age of 25 to, let's say, 60, 65. So the best years of their life and the best time of the day they're spending at the workplace. It becomes our responsibility to create a very nurturing, nourishing, loving, caring space. So love is not just again, like I keep saying, it's not just a soft emotion. It builds a culture. It builds a culture of joy to start with. That's one. Second is it builds a culture of ownership when people feel that they are being cared for. And I've always said that people stay in an organization for three reasons: when it's a growing organization, when it's a learning organization, and when it's a caring organization. So all our policies and principles and decisions are made keeping the people at the center and saying how can we convert this love into a very strong caring policy. So let me give you two examples. So we do our warehousing in Bhiwandi, which is 60 kilometers from Bombay. And our senior manager, logistics manager, he came up to me. He said, "Listen, I found something which can save us a lot of money." So I said, "Okay, let's go see the new warehouse." So we went to this new place, and the owner of that place was, feeling very happy and proud that he's going to give us a great deal. And my first question to him was, "Where are the toilets?" So he looks at me a little confused. He's saying, "साहब ये जगह है, इतनी बड़ी जगह है, अच्छी जगह है, आपको हम इतने रेट में देंगे और आपके इतने पैसे बच जाएंगे." I said, "I know the calculations, but where are the toilets?" So he's saying, "No, there are common toilets out there, but why are you concerned? Because you're not going to be coming here and working here. Your people are going to work there." I said, "Our people will not work in any place where we don't have clean toilets and clean drinking water." Okay. We rejected a place which could have given us a financial advantage and a substantial amount of saving every year only because we cared for our people. I remember, one of our accounts ladies, we give 6 months maternity leave. And after her maternity leave, she came and met me and she said, "Look, my newborn child, there is a bit of a complication. He had to go through some surgery in his head, in the brain, there was some issue." And she said to me, she said, "I don't know how long this is going to take. And I don't have visibility on my future in that sense." It would have been very convenient for me to say, "Look, I'm sorry, but we need to quickly fill up your position because the company has performances and outcomes." I said, "No." The only filter was, what kind of care does she need at this point of time? So we did two things. I said, one, I said, take as long as you want, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It doesn't matter. Go take care of your child. Whenever you come back, you have your job. So we gave her the job security. Second, we immediately transfer a certain amount into her account so that she could take care of the medical issues. Now, maybe because we're a small company, we can do this. If I was as big as the companies and the brands which you mentioned, I don't know how easy it would be. But the point I'm making is that, talking about culture, I think, Ajit, culture develops when we put our true principles into practice, when we are able to overcome the internal hesitation and barriers and say, "No, if this is the right thing, I'm going to do it." And the last thing which I will just say on this, and I've written this in my reflection on leading with love, and I'm just going to read from there, where I've said that the most powerful force in the world resides in us. The biggest mistake we can make is having the fear to lead with love.
I just want to continue that conversation, which most Indian entrepreneurs, and they've already been it up, is saying, it's a sign of weakness here. They take advantage of it when we show ourselves. And I've seen this behavior even with the line managers who come on board. Moment they are managers and they meet their team members, they have this transparent wall, which actually does not showcase who they are. They do not want to show that compassion. And or if they, even if they're showing compassion, it's very selectively done. And sometimes you just figure out that most of these people, they're just not being themselves. And the fear is that if I show compassion, if my style of leadership is through love, it's going to be taken for granted, it'll be misused, and we'll miss the boat. And that's been a problem. Have you gone through similar kind of situations where people have actually taken advantage of these situations?
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course, people have taken advantage of what I think our being nice and sometimes good. But I keep telling people, I said, don't confuse our goodness with our weakness. Just because we trust you doesn't mean that we don't know better. So, yes, 3 or 5% of the people will abuse this, misuse this, take advantage. But Ajit, the balance 95% have enriched us to a disproportionate extent. And therefore, there is absolutely no confusion or contradiction in my mind that, even though sometimes people will abuse this and will misuse this, this is the only way for us to go forward as individuals and as organizations.
Wow, amazing. I think to all our listeners, it's very clear. There is no one set. right answer to this whole thing. But yeah, look at the larger picture. It's just not about the outcome, it's also how do you get there. Well, that was another thought provoking discussion with some deep insights. It certainly gives us plenty to ponder about the balance between exploring values and business growth. Now, I encourage you not to just keep these thoughts to yourself. Share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and family and ask them, what do you think? Is it possible? The idea being to spark a conversation and see where it leads. And we'd love to hear from you on this. Join the dialogue on our social media platforms. Share your questions, your learnings, and the insights you have gained from this episode. It's through these shared experiences and perspectives that we all grow and learn. So don't hesitate to reach out and contribute to this ongoing conversation. Now, if some of you guys are even watching us at a later stage, it doesn't mean that you can't put a conversation. If some of us are watching us on podcast, you can put your comments even out there. Give us a feedback. Tell us what you think about the episode. Your voice matters in shaping a more ethically driven business world. So that's it for today. Join us again next week for another enriching episode of Life.EV, where we continue our exploration into the fascinating world of exploring values in our lives. Thank you, Vivek. And as usual, it's been a valuable contributions today. And we look forward to diving deeper into these critical discussions in our next session. So see you next week, where we'll unravel more insights and perspectives that shape our ethical compass. Thank you for listening, and remember to reach out to your friends and get a conversation going on life exploring values. Thank you, Vivek. See you guys.
Thanks, Ajit. Bye. Take care.